Welcome back to the channel, day 12 of the 100 horror films in 31 days, and I got in 5 films today. One of them was not so hot to watch, but other than that, they were good watches. First up is The Hunger from 1983, directed by Tony Scott, and it stars Catherine Deneuve as a vampire, female vampire, that has left a trail of lovers, dead lovers, in her midst, in her wake, with the promises of immortality through blood transference. Uh, so the vampire can give another mortal immortality by transferring her blood to them, or blood sharing. But unfortunately, everybody that she's doing this to, including David Bowie, with these promises of immortality, soon find out that they can't stop the aging process. They do end up aging and dying and withering away as these corpses. And so she's left perpetually trying to find new lovers, and she runs into Susan Sarandon and converts her as well. The movie feels to me like a poor man's Daughters of Darkness from 1971. I know the movie's based on a novel, and it does have allegorical themes to the AIDS crisis back then. But it really felt to me like a poor man's Daughters of Darkness. I think Daughters of Darkness is a much better film with a similar premise, where the vampire's promising immortality for them to stay with her. Uh, but overall, I thought, yeah, it's a good film. I don't think it's a great film. I gave it a 6 out of 10. It's very stylish. In fact, I think it's almost to the point of being kind of pretentious and style over substance. But I like it. I like it okay. Again, I gave it a 6 out of 10. I am docking at 1 full point for Susan Sarandon. I don't like her. I think she would have been best off just sticking around with daytime TV. All right, next up is a classic comedy, horror comedy, The Burbs from 1989, starring Tom Hanks and Bruce Dern. This is a fun film. It's also got, although he's not in it very long, Corey Feldman. Anyway, Tom Hanks and Bruce Dern are in this suburban neighborhood, and they've encountered this weird going on with one of their neighbors' houses, and they believe that the neighbor is killing off people in the neighborhood and storing the bodies in the basement. It's a hoot. I mean, it's a fun, cute little film. I enjoyed it. Tom Hanks has a wonderful meltdown at the end of this thing. It's really good. I thought my favorite is Bruce Dern. I think Bruce Dern is such a versatile actor. It's a shame that he doesn't get recognized more. He was funny as hell in this. I give this a 7 out of 10. Good stuff. Next up was the worst watch of the day, and that's Claws, 1977. Another echo horror. In the 70s we were just glutted with echo horror movies. I can remember going to see The Food of the Gods in the theater. I saw Jaws in the theater in its first run. I never saw Grizzly, but I saw Tentacles. I think I saw Tentacles in the drive-in, and never saw Claws. But Claws is a poor man's Grizzly. It's probably better than Grizzly 2. I will give it that. But man, it's dull. Dull as dishwater. Tedious, tedious film. And whenever there's any action, it's either simultaneously too dark. I watched this on YouTube, so maybe it's the transfer. But it's either too frickin' dark, which I actually think it's intentionally done so you don't spot the defects in the bear and the overall action. But it might just be the transfer. Uh, but then when it is well lit, like at the end of the film with the action sequences, they do the shit in slow motion. It just slow. It looks terribly out of place. The slow motion in this. uh, I just don't think this movie got anything right. I gave it a 4 out of 10. I'm not gonna say it's total crap, but I didn't like it at all. The director is a Richard Bansback, who that's all he's ever done, and Robert Pearson, who did a couple other movies. Obviously, these guys were over their heads, I think. I don't see anybody else with any decent screen credits. Ironically enough, though, in Canada and Mexico, this was released as Grizzly 2 in an effort to capitalize on the success of Grizzly. But it's not a sequel, and it really doesn't have any connection to the real Grizzly 2, which was just a compilation, really. Anyway, I give that a 4 out of 10. And then next up is Hellraiser 2022, which I talked about for almost 15 minutes of a separate review yesterday. I loved Hellraiser 2022. Probably my only complaint would be that the runtime of 2 hours is really kind of pushing it. I think they kind of stretched some of the aspects of the film with the runtime, but other than that, I loved it. And I know there's a lot of people that are saying what I was saying with regard to pushing a political agenda. At the end of the day, people are looking at this film as if, again, we're pushing a political agenda. You've got, as I mentioned, you've got a gay couple in here. You've got a Hispanic. I get maybe not Hispanic, but I'm not sure what the lead actress is, to be honest with you. Hispanic or Asian, whatever. And then the gay couple, one of the guys is black. And so I've seen a lot of people that are pushing the social justice narrative on this film, as I have done with things like Halloween Kills, or the most infamous example, of course, is Black Christmas 2019. But I don't see it in this movie. I don't see the casting of the gay couple, with one being black, as checking off liberal boxes. Maybe it is, and maybe they just fooled the crap out of me. Maybe it is. I mean, at the end of the day, movies are a subjective art form, full of opinion. I mean, I'm not sitting behind the producer or the director getting a bird's eye view of what they're really thinking. And so I don't know, nor does really anybody else. All I know is, for me, this film did not feel like a political agenda being promoted above the art form or the story or the characters. And that's just me. Again, this is a subjective science. I don't think there's, it's an opinion. People have opinions. So, and my opinion is this was not a political exercise, nor were we checking off liberal boxes and pushing it, pushing it. Maybe they're checking off liberal boxes, but we're not shoving it down your throat in the same, like you're dumb. Here's what social justice should look like, you dummy. That's what Black Christmas, I think, did, 2019. So I like the film. The casting of the female Pinhead was fine with me. And I actually liked the twist, even though I think we could see it coming. There's a twist at the end of this thing. So yeah, I think I still hold by my view from yesterday. I feel the same as yesterday, that potentially in 20 years we'll be looking at this movie with a overall fondness that people look at things like The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. So yeah. Anyway, I'd be interested in hearing other people's opinions. Next up, and the final watch of the day, was a movie I've seen multiple times, Winter Beast, 1992. This is a independent film directed by Christopher Thies, who, I think this is all he ever did. But you can tell this is a love letter to horror films. These people really have a love for horror. They may not have had the money to make a good movie, and this is not a good movie, but you can see their heart was in it, and they put a lot of time, effort, and attention into this, and a lot of love, and so I give them credit for that. I give it a 6.5 out of 10. It's not a good movie. The acting is stiff and wooden. I mean, it's basically an amateur effort. But I appreciate what they did, and I think the stop motion animation is good in film. I like the overall story. It's an interesting but very bizarre film. Um, I'm not entirely sure what the hell it was supposed to be, but it's basically about a town that has that's possessed, demonically possessed. I feel like, and the possession is like bringing out these different monsters to kill people in the town. But yeah, again, nothing special, but I give it a 6 out of 10. All right, that's going to do it for day 12. Appreciate you watching.